Hey, fourth grade. So we have been reading The One and Only Bob, which is the second novel that Katherine Applegate wrote to go along with her One and Only Ivan that we read in class. So when we read the last section of our book, we found out that Bob has been adopted by Julia and that he is living with Julia and her mom, Sarah, and her dad, George. And George was able to get a job at the zoo where Ivan and Ruby are now living. And in the course of the last few pages that we read, we found out that Bob is now being accused of being soft and spoiled. He was kind of getting picked on just a little bit by a squirrel that lives in the same area where Julia's house is. So we're going to continue reading from there. This chapter is called Spoiled. I know Nutwit, that's the squirrel, has a point. I've become a creature of habit, spoiled after a stretch of being my own dog. For a long time I was Bob the Beast, cunning and streetwise. As a stray, I lived off leftovers at the mall while Snickers dined on her fancy pants kibble. Man, how I loved that cotton candy stuck to the floor. The unexpected UFOs, or unidentified food objects. The ends of ketchup-covered hot dogs scattered under the bleachers like, I don't know, big toes or something. Ivan offered to share his gorilla food with me, and Stella and Ruby were always ready to pass along a carrot or an apple, but I refused. I needed to stay in shape, stay tough, stay true to my wild nature. Okay, so maybe every now and then I'd sneak a banana chunk from Ivan's breakfast. But then things changed. I became civilized, domesticated, a pet. And you can see him now. Check him out. He has a puppy bed, and a puppy blanket, and a puppy food bowl. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely some perks. Julia, who's an artist, painted my name on a food bowl. She gave me this wonderfully mushy blanket, the kind where you can bed boogie forever till it's squished just to perfection and you can curl up just so. I love that blanket, but I simply cannot sleep without Knot Tag, Ivan's raggedy old toy gorilla. Of course, just when I get my blanket and Knot Tag imprinted with the right amount of Ode to Bob or his smell, Julia's mom does the unthinkable. She puts them in the washing machine and removes every last bit of me. There are other indignities I tolerate. The daily walk on a tug-of-war string after going stringless my whole life. So being on a leash instead of running free. The attempts to train me, like that'll ever happen. The kisses and cuddling. Well, cuddling's okay, I suppose. But the kissing I just don't get. If you want to kiss your dog, why not just give him a big old lick on the face and be done with it? Anyways, so what if I've gotten a little spoiled, a tad soft around the edges? There's a difference between being soft and being afraid, being a coward. Another confession. Too bad I know the truth. I'm both. Soft and afraid. Cricket Bully. When Julia returns from walking her charges, the other dogs, I race over and give her a good old Bob-style hello. Lots of yipping and twirling, followed by some attempts to jump into her arms. Humans love that stuff. Julia looks at me sternly and says, Robert, down. I leap some more because I'm determined to convince her I'm incorrigible or untrainable. It's part of my charm, my bobliness. Down, she says again. From her coat pocket, she pulls out her little metal clicker, along with some treats. I hate that clicker. It's meant to help train me, but it's like a cricket bully. So you remember there was that clicker that we saw when Ivan and Ruby were getting prepared to move to the zoo, where they were being trained to go and follow the instructions of the zoo workers, the trainers. Here's the theory. I do something right. Julia clicks, gives me a treat. The clicks tell me when I'm behaving, and the treats reinforce it. If that happens enough before your very eyes, I'm supposed to transform into a good dog. Well, that ain't that easy. Down, Bob, Julia tries again. I want a treat, but not enough to cave. So I opt for a play bow, a compromise. Julia sighs. You are definitely a challenging student. To my annoyance, she puts the treat back in her pocket. I think Julia may be onto me. Trust. A while ago, Julia got it into her head that I needed to improve my manners, so we went to a dog training class. I wasn't really into the whole sit and stay and do tango stuff. The worst command of all, the truly inexcusable, only a human could come up with it order, leave it. Leave it means walk away, Bob. Sure, there's a piece of bacon just inches from your drooling pie hole, but do me a favor and just pretend it's not there, okay? Not okay. Where I come from, you never pass up a free meal. UFO, or unidentified food objects, drop to the carpet, it's mine. And I'll be chowing it down before you can say, where the heck did my meatball go? Before you realize it, it's gone. Within minutes, I was accused of being an undermotivated student, which is totally unfair. I'm highly motivated. Just show me some cheese, please. Anyways, I may or may not have been a little unruly. Class clown stuff, tail spinning, a little random peeing, some zoomies, just for show. Class, you see that crazy dashing around he's doing? Said the teacher, pointing at me with an accusing finger. We call that FRAP. Frantic, random activity, period. She pulled Julia aside. He's a smart dog, she says, but he's messing with you. Which was true, but I hated getting caught in the act. I thought I was more subtle. Bob needs to know who's boss, said the teacher. He needs to see you as a pack leader. Give him some time. I see this with a lot of former strays. Takes them a while to trust people. Like, forever, in my case. If you remember, he said in The One and Only Ivan, too, he doesn't trust people. And he doesn't trust people because he's had such a bad experience with humans up to this point with Julia. Remember, he got thrown out of the truck from the people that owned his mom. As we left class early, I yelled, "So long, suckers!" to my classmates. Couldn't help rubbing it in, just a little. My car thing is the next chapter. I suppose the real reason for the training stuff isn't my bad manners, although they leave a bit to be desired. It's my car thing. I've always had a hang-up about cars and trucks. Also riding lawnmowers, go-karts, anything with 4 wheels, an engine, and a driver. Don't like them. Don't want to ride in them. Don't want anything to do with them. Those co-pilot dogs with their heads hanging out the window, flying their drool flags or their tongues. Boneheads. First of all, it ain't safe. And second of all, bad stuff can happen after you climb into a car. Take it from me. When Julia and George and Sarah realized I have transportation issues, they tried to lure me into the back seat of their car with treats. But you'd be surprised how stubborn I can be. I yelped so loud the neighbors came running out to see what was happening to the poor little doggy. Score 1 for the poor little doggy. Click. That's when they started clicker training me. Click, here's a treat. Come closer to the car, Bob. Click, here's a treat. Watch while I open the car door, Bob. Click, here's a treat. Come right up to the seat, Bob. Click, here's a treat. Come on in, Bob. Bob? Where are you, Bob? Yeah, it was a lot like that. Options. I still haven't been in a car, or a truck, or a tractor for that matter. When I have to go to the rhymes with pet threat. What's he talking about? Place where animals don't like to go that rhymes with pet and threat. The vet. Julia and her parents walk me there. They say elephants have long memories. Well, so do dogs, people. It's not like I'm afraid. I'm just exercising my options. Full wag. Are you ready to head over to the park? George asks as he passes through the living room. He's carrying 2 flashlights and a roll of masking tape. Yep, Julia says, and I do a head tilt to show I'm intrigued by the conversation. The place where Ivan and Ruby live is called Wild World Zoological Park and Sanctuary, but everybody just calls it the park. So this is a little bit different from real life, because in real life we know they went to Zoo Atlanta. George works at the park as head groundskeeper, which means I've got some sway. And everyone who's employed there loves Julia. Give me a minute. I just need to grab my coat, says George. Straight home after that, though, Julia, says Sarah, just in case the weather gets worse. One minute the weatherman says we're going to have a little shower, and next minute it's the storm of the century. Julia scratches my head. I thought Hurricane Gus wasn't coming till tomorrow. Sometimes they change course, says Sarah. They can be unpredictable. So, in the story, they have been forecasted, or the weatherman has said that a hurricane is headed their way. So we've just talked recently about natural disasters in class and how they can be unpredictable. So right now, Sarah and George and Bob and Julia, they're all dealing with the unpredictability of a natural disaster, which in this case is called Hurricane Gus. You know, George says with a wink, in the old days, they only named hurricanes after women. He's teasing. Julia groans. Ugh, that's so sexist. Which means she's saying, that's not fair to say that about women, because it's not fair that hurricanes were only named women. That's what Julia's saying. It's not just the wind that I'm worried about on this one, George says. It's the storm surge that could be a problem. Flooding. Julia tries to make me wear her mom's latest creation, a knitted dog sweater with security written on it, which I suppose is an ironic reference to my petite size, so he's super small, but he's security. I politely decline. All right, you win, Julia sighs. Ready for your walk, Bob? At the mention of the word walk, I go all crazy mutts, so it's clear I'm on board with the idea. Humans love it when you get silly. I think they're so weighed down by people problems that sometimes they need to be reminded what happy looks like. Julia attaches my string. I try for a little tug of war, but she refuses to buy it. Let's go see Ivan and Ruby, she says. Just hearing those names sends my tail into full wag, so he's happy about that. Good words, bad words. I've never met a dog who didn't get a big old grin on his kisser when Walk slipped into the conversation. Dogs understand more than you might think. The Nature Channel says we're about as smart as the average human toddler. 2-year-olds, my fuzzy rump, were 1,000,000 times brainier than some babbling rugrat. There was a dog on that Man's Best Friend show who supposedly understood like 1,000 human words. Border Collie, I think. Those guys need to switch to decaf. The narrator was gushing about this wonder dog, and I'm like, well, duh, Brainiac. Of course we understand people. Not everything, mind you. And some of us are more attentive or pay attention more than others. Depends on a lot on just how interesting your humans happen to be. Certain words will really cause our ears to perk up. The classics like treat, walk, frisbee, bacon. And don't forget the swear words, the bad ones. Vet, bath, fireworks, vacuum cleaner. We always hear those words. Does your puppy, if you have a dog, know certain words that they don't like or certain words that they do like? My girls, if they hear the word outside, get super excited and you might hear them start barking. But if I say the word bath, they take off running and hide, and you never see them. That's all we're going to read for this part. This took us from pages 52 to 71. And we will continue reading in the next part. So it was good for you guys to join me. I hope you are enjoying the one and only Bob as much as I am. Bye, guys.